I'm Mark,
And I'm Paul.
and welcome to the second episode of Moonraker, where tonight we're going to be reviewing the second in the James Bond film series, From Russia with Love. Agent 007 is back in the second installment of the James Bond series. This time he's battling a secret crime organization known as Spectre. Russians Rosa Klebb and Kronstein are out to snatch a decoding device known as the Lecter, using the ravishing Tatiana to lure Bond into helping them. Bond willingly travels to meet Tatiana in Istanbul, where he must rely on his wits to escape with his life in a series of deadly encounters with the enemy.
That is a very accurate description of the
Of the
movie.
plot, yes, it is. Yes, yes. So tonight we'll be rating From Russia with Love in 7 different categories on a scale of 001 to 007. We'll first review the pre-title sequence, the theme song, followed by the plot with locations, the villain and the henchman, the Bond girl, category 6, which we call cars, gadgets, and weapons, and finally the last category, what we call Bond, James Bond, the man himself.
You need a cigarette.
Yes,
when you do that last part. Yes,
it is. The pre-title sequence of From Russia with Love. How do you rate it?
I'd give it a tight 4. I give it a tight 004. I wish it could have been longer. But it's just it's one of those nice little spoilers if you haven't seen it, misleading lead-ins.
Yes.
But when I was watching it though, I'm like, why does James Bond look like Robbie Rotten from Lazy Town?
Yeah.
And then you find out why.
Correct.
And I thought, what? His brother wasn't available that day? Because he had the Neil Connery eyebrows going on. But no, I'll give it a tight 4.
I also gave it a tight 004. I mean, it does set the classic pattern, which we did not have in Dr. No. So we do get the barrel of the gun leading down to the little white dot, and then we get the little sequence, and then we get the theme song with the montage. And yeah, I mean, I think it's classic. It's sort of down to earth like the rest of the movie. But yeah, the I guess why does he have to have a Bond mask on? Do they hate Bond that much that they have to train you to kill? Can't he just be killing guys?
You're overthinking.
I know, but every time I see it,
because women in the audience need to go.
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah. So yeah, I'll go with the tight 004.
Yeah,
for that one. So Paul, what did you think of the theme song?
I'm going to give it a 003.
Okay, tell me why.
Because From Russia with Love is the song that I go into first whenever anybody brings up like James Bond themes. Mm-hmm. Like when our kids decided they were going to watch James Bond movies and in order, and I immediately just started From Russia with Love, and Toad just goes, I told Aiden you were going to do that, but it's just not good it's fun, but not good. So yeah. 003.
I have to split my score and average it. So here's how I did it. It is also the one that at 4 a.m. when I'm driving downstate for work, I belt out loudly in my car to wake myself up. So for a wake-up song that one can sing, it's wonderful. But yeah, as far as a Bond song goes, it's really about a 004. But I'm actually going to score it a 003. And the reason for that is we don't even get the song till the end credits. We just get a cheesy, a cheesy version of it instrumentally in the beginning.
Yeah.
So for that reason, I'm knocking it down to a 003. In fact, I would argue that the more important theme in this movie is, so this is when John Barry started doing the music.
Mm-hmm.
And he creates what's called the 007 theme. The dun,
Yeah.
dun, 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 that one.
Yeah.
That is such a
Yeah.
classic. That becomes his secondary theme in all
Yeah.
the movies. So, or in a lot of the movies, and so that's like I love that music.
Mhm.
So that's another reason why I didn't get down to a 003.
Oh,
So we are
technical difficulties.
yeah. Sorry, here I'll put my phone
You
down.
just can't make a video without knocking something
I
over, can
know.
you?
Cheesy, and also the other thing that doesn't help is I'm sure, and it was risque at the time, and I know my father especially paid attention to the belly dancing montage in the beginning, but it just seems so cheesy now. It has not aged well. That has not aged well.
Well, to be fair, none of these movies age well.
No, but that particularly but I remember my dad wholeheartedly paying attention to that one. So back then.
Your dad probably paid attention to the belly dancing scene the way my dad pays attention to the stable sword fight in the Antonio Banderas Zorro.
Yes,
exactly. He still talks about Catherine Zeta-Jones. So
I'm sure my mom was paying attention when Sean Connery comes out of the shower in this movie. So, but anyway.
Oh man, we were at your house one time watching was it Rain Man or what?
Yeah.
Not Rain Man.
No, it was the one where he's the doctor in South America.
Yeah.
Medicine Man.
Medicine Man. And I was like, yeah, Sean Connery's pretty cool. And your mom just goes, he's wonderful.
Yeah, that was the standard. Yeah.
He kind of wrecked it for a lot of guys, I think.
Number 3, the plot with locations.
Can I give it a 004.5?
Sure.
The sets, the locations, the fact that everything is like really quickly, tightly explained.
Mm-hmm.
Everything from like the periscope to like the cat fight.
Yeah.
And why, there was no flashy villain.
No.
There was no, Goldfinger or no gold. Or I almost said gold member. there was no.
I love good. Isn't that good?
It was like they took the first one, cranked it up a little bit. They kept it kind of realistic. There's no metal hand guy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna give it a 4.5.
All right.
004.5.
004.5. All right. So this may take me a minute to defend. I'm giving it a 007.
Okay.
It is by far one of my favorite Bond movies overall, plot-wise overall. It was also my parents' favorite, so that might be an influence.
It was on at your house a lot.
Yeah, it was. They watched it a lot. What I like the most about it is it's closest to the books. But not. We'll talk about that at the end. There's one part that I think they've made a mistake. But I just like the fact that this feels like real espionage.
Yeah.
I mean, you get
that's where the 0.5 comes from.
The real it's much more grounded. Even though I think if kids were to watch, like I'm sure like our kids would be like, this is boring as hell, Dad. So I think to most people that think of the more flashy Bond movies, this seems boring.
Yeah.
But I love the fact that half the movie is him shadowing someone who's shadowing him. The fact that a lot of the movie is them talking in code with each other. I love the whole beginning of the Istanbul sequence where they talk about how the Russians follow them and we follow us. It just seems like real 60s spy stuff.
Yeah.
The fact that it's the Lecter, it's a decoder, bit WW2, but the fact that they want the new Soviet decoder, that seems like a realistic plot. And then, we get other stuff that I love in the plot is we get Karen Bey, the character Karen Bey, who is the leader of MI6, the Istanbul station in MI6. And he's one of my favorite he's close to Tiger Tanaka. He's one of my favorites.
Yeah, I was really digging him.
Yeah, he's awesome.
I forgot how much he's in this movie.
Yeah, he is. He's in practically the whole movie till almost the very end. And so I just love that. I like we get the first sort of train sequence,
Mhm.
in a James Bond movie.
Yeah.
And the fact that they're trapped on the train, and so for me, having watched the movie so many times, it flows fast. Like to
Mhm.
me, the movie goes by fast.
Yeah.
But I can imagine other people watching it. Um, you know, the fact that Bond and M at the beginning are making fun of this plot. Like, this can't be real.
Mhm.
A Russian woman has fallen in love with your picture and now wants to deliver a lecture to you. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But it might not be. So, but the fact that, Spectre succeeds in getting the Russians and MI6 to fight each other and to
Mhm.
do all the dirty work for him, I think is just an amazing plot.
Mhm.
So it's like there's multiple plots. And then of course we
Yeah.
get, the other thing that we develop is uh this is the first one where we get Spectre as an organization.
Mhm.
Now, granted, it's been mocked in all the Austin Power movies,
Sure. Sure.
but we get number 1, number 3, and number 5. That sets the whole sequence. So I love the fact that Spectre's involved like that.
Right.
And I it yeah, it's just it's just funny that they do get fooled in the end,
Mhm.
and then I kind of like, there's always the complaint about the villains revealing too much in James Bond.
Yeah.
Well, but in this one I like the fact that Red Grant, who is pretending to be Captain Nash, he reveals the plot to him because he wants to watch him twist. I'm going to tell you because you are such an idiot. I want you to know what an idiot you are. I'm going to torment you mentally. And then he gives a laundry list of what he's going to do to him physically.
Yeah.
The first bullet won't kill you, not
Yeah.
the second nor the third.
7th, 8th,
Yeah,
9th,
yeah.
10th.
So, and we'll get to the gadgets, but the fact that everything there's practical solutions to everything.
Yeah.
And I'll save that for the gadgets. But the fact that it's just very practical, very grounded, feels like a real spy story. Like
Yeah.
it could have been captured like from a true story almost. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah, it really does have that. And the first one has it too a little
yeah,
bit.
it does.
That like this could just be like, and we all know about Ian Fleming,
Yeah.
but it seems kind of real.
Yeah, real. Because it minuses. I mean, Dr. No had a little bit of the fantastic in it. This really has
Yeah.
none of it.
Yeah.
Minus Spectre, but still that could be any kind of, you figure it's a model for a terrorist organization who is playing the Russians against the US.
Yeah.
So I mean, it just felt so real.
Yeah.
I mean, if I were to knock it down, I'll knock it down in other ways, but as far as the plot goes, I mean, it's got the strongest second lead character in Bay. It's just excellent, and the
Yeah.
fact that it's a chess game, which is, I mean, they start with a chess game with Kronstein, and the whole movie's a chess game.
Yeah.
And so I love
Yeah.
that about this movie. So
Yeah.
that's why I will, more than any other Bond film, watch this one just for the plot.
The middle of the movie, it kind of you might think it drags or whatever,
Yeah.
or the action level just goes down. The thing about that is you don't even notice because where it is.
Yeah.
The
that's
setting,
right. I haven't even talked about
but
settings. Yeah.
The setting is
Istanbul
just
beautiful.
I'm looking at everything because I've seen this movie before.
Yeah.
I'm looking at everything around them.
Mm-hmm.
It's just so visually
just
stunning.
The journey in the catacombs in the reservoir,
Mhm.
which I thought was, I love, you brought up the periscope. I love that part of the movie.
Yeah.
That seems real too.
Yeah.
So we pretended there was a gas leak and we were able to install,
Mhm.
even though of course they sacrifice it later to get the lecture when they blow up the consulate. But
like if it was an Austin Powers movie, they'd be like, "Whoop."
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
They'd be like looking around,
right. And that's the problem. Like Austin Powers has kind of tainted some of this movie, but yeah, every part of it just seems like a real story, which is what I really like.
Yeah, right down to the Chekhov's rats.
Yeah, yes, the rats are so yeah, I just love, and then the fact that it takes place in Venice is great, and Istanbul, and then we get I guess it would be the Eastern European countryside for the most part because they're sneaking around the train, and then it just I don't know, and I just love Red Grant, how he infiltrates, and like I said, it's a chess game. It's a perfect chess game.
Yeah.
All right, so speaking of Red Grant,
I love it when the Russians are the bad guys,
Yeah.
as it should be.
Yes.
I like to judge my villain on his henchmen,
Hmm.
you know, because most of the time when you think of Bond movies, you think of, like we were talking earlier, Odd Job, Jaws, guys like that. I'm watching this thing going, he's like Robert Shaw's like the proto, Rutger Hauer of this thing.
Yeah, he is.
Until he starts talking, and then of course he becomes, Robert Shaw. But he's a menace. He's
Yeah.
scary as hell
Yeah.
until he starts talking. Then but he's disarming the people. The people
Yeah.
he's talking to, he's disarming them. He's just all around a scary dude. Right down
Mhm.
to like you were saying, the third bullet won't kill you. The seventh bullet won't kill you. You're gonna kiss my boot, before you're dead.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give him a 005.
Okay.
I also wonder between Robert Shaw
Hmm.
and Sean Connery, how much booze got drank?
The making of this film.
Yes. Sure.
That's true.
They were probably drunk fighting.
Yes. Yes. So I'm counting
Mhm.
1, 2, 3, 4 villains.
Yeah, there's a lot of them.
There's a lot of
Yeah.
villains in this, and so for me, it's a 007. When you add them all up together, it's a 007. And for that reason, there's these. I love Kronstein, the director of planning for Spectre. He's number 5.
Mhm.
So he's the chess player at the beginning, and he's the strategist.
The
one-
Ghost of Mr. Chicken looking
Yes,
dude.
yes,
with the-
correct.
Yeah,
Who thinks he can't
he's
fail.
great. I
Um,
love his whole look.
Yeah, and so I was reading about this. They purposely he's a minor character, but they wanted him to remember. They wanted the audience to remember him throughout the movie because there were so many villains.
Mhm.
So they picked him based on his looks, and you cannot not.
No,
Okay.
he looks like Steve Buscemi or
Yes.
or Don Knotts from
Yeah.
Ghost of Mr.
Right.
Chicken.
Yes, but
Like if Don Knotts was a hitman.
yes,
But
exactly.
not a bungling hitman, a
Correct.
scary one.
Yeah, so Kronstein's great. Colonel
Mhm.
Klebb is great. I mean, number 3. The Smersh defector. I mean, she's not effective in a fight, even though she has her shoe
That
tag.
cooking thing
Yeah,
she
the
was
cooking
doing was-
she's trying to, and her death scene is awful. But I love her.
Yeah.
And of course she's been ruined by Austin Powers.
Yeah.
And of course, Red Grant, we've talked a lot about him. But so for me, the fact that he is like this terrifying and he is a psychopath in a novel.
Yeah.
He's a terrifying psychopath. But when he speaks, I'm like, oh, it's just awesome. Not only is he's not just muscle. He's not a big, dumb,
Yeah.
muscle-bound idiot. They make him look like that in the beginning. He's brilliant.
Mhm.
He is super smart.
Mhm.
And the fact that he's got the accents down and he makes one tiny mistake that Bond doesn't even catch till later. And so I think that's what makes him that's even makes him more scary, is the fact that he's also as cultured as he's Bond's opposite,
Yeah.
but even more brutal. And then of course, we get to see the first signs of Blofeld, not called Blofeld in the movie, just
Mhm.
number 1. And so, I mean, how can you not love Blofeld? But interestingly enough, I also read about it. His voice
I was going to ask about that.
so his voice, and I don't know how they did it, but his voice is done by Professor Dent from Dr. No, the guy that Bond kills with the silencer.
Mhm.
But I don't know how they altered his voice to make him sound so menacing, because he doesn't sound that menacing in Dr. No. So I don't know.
They used the same machine they had in Dr. No that made his voice projected over top of it.
So this is the first time we see. So for the fact that we have 4 different Spectre villains, I got to give it a 007.
Yeah.
I just love all of them in this. Number 5, the Bond girl, who is Tatiana Romanova, played by Miss Universe 1960, Daniela Bianchi, who's Italian, not Russian.
James Bond has issues
Okay.
with young girls.
Sure.
I mean, I'm talking young girls. Last episode we talked about how the Bond girl was basically an 11-year-old in a full grown.
Yeah.
I was gonna give her a 3 at first,
Mm-hmm.
but the fact that she carries through to the end and isn't just like, oh, my ankle. I'm gonna make her a 004. But the thing about this is I loved her performance when she didn't think anybody was looking.
Okay.
Like when Bond is talking to your boy on the train and she's reading her passport, she's over there like saying the names on the thing
Yeah.
and like acting silly. And anytime she didn't think they were watching, she was, when she does the thing with her hair for the mustache,
Mustache, yeah.
it's just kind of silly little things like that. But what got me was when we were watching it, when they had the big painting for the "Call Me Buana" with
Yeah.
Anita Ekberg,
Yeah.
where her mouth opens up.
Mhm.
After I saw that, that's who I wanted to play
Oh, right.
player because this woman is she's conventionally attractive.
Yeah.
She's a lot of fun, but she doesn't have the Russian features that you think of, like the cheekbones
Correct.
and and whereas Ekberg would have she's Swedish, but they're close enough. Because my Swedish friends are now mad at me.
Right.
But no, I thought I'm going to give her a 004.
All right. I think she's the weakest element of the movie. I'm
Yeah,
going to give her a 002.
Hmm.
Now, as a young man, younger kid, I had the hots for her. I was younger. Thought she was gorgeous.
Well, there's nothing wrong.
No,
with
no,
her. I mean,
but as now, I think part of the problem is that her dialogue was dubbed.
oh,
She
was it?
didn't,
I
yeah,
didn't know
she
that.
didn't. Her English was so bad, they had to dub it. And why they dubbed her with someone that talks like this, James, make love to me, James. I think the dubbing is what ruins her as a character.
I don't even pay attention to dubbing in
Oh,
older movies because
okay.
it's so commonplace,
Yeah,
especially with movies where like there's international casts.
yeah, it just doesn't fit her. I mean, it's like the voice is Sophia Loren, but the face is Honey Rider. I don't know. It
But
just
but
doesn't.
what if she had like Fran Drescher voice? You'd probably want that
That's right.
dubbed.
Oh, James, make love to me. Am I the best of all the girls? Um, I also think uh, she's the most passive character in the movie. Everything happens to her.
Hmm.
And yes, I mean, she's following through on orders, but to me, I think it's interesting that for the one and only time, the return of Sylvia Trench in the beginning of the movie,
Mhm.
who, according to Wikipedia, they call in the movie, or that it's considered, his on and off girlfriend is Sylvia Trench. I don't buy it for a minute in this movie that Bond has any feelings for her. I mean, yes, he drops every woman at the end of every movie that he loves for the next one, but this one he had no. There's nothing there. He's going to go back to the minute this movie ends.
Mhm.
He's letting her, become a British citizen. He's going back to Sylvia Trench. I don't buy it. I don't think. I like that when we get to the James Bond review. I like the fact he doesn't. At no one point does he fall for her.
Yeah, yeah.
That he's simply using her to get to the end.
Mhm.
And he might have enjoyed himself and had a good time, and
Work,
she's
work,
playful.
work.
Yeah, but I just because and I don't buy when she walks in the beginning and she's fighting Rosa Klebb, like demanding her dignity, and she seemed. I was expecting like a tough Russian woman,
Yeah.
and then she becomes like midway through the movie. Oh, James, I'm so in love, and
Yeah.
she falls apart as a character.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, because she starts out your typical Russian agent
Yes.
that you think of.
Yes.
So but obviously all of her James stuff wasn't an act she was playing. She was just that.
I think she felt like I wish it had been an act. I wish the whole time she might have had, but she's. I just love you. I really do. Yeah, I just don't buy her, and that's too bad. I think that would have made the movie so much better had you been questioning the whole time. Is she faking? Yes, we know James is faking it. Is she faking it too?
James faked it a lot during this movie, but we'll get to that.
Oh yeah, we'll get to that too. Yeah. So she's one of my least favorite Bond girls. But even though it's one of my favorite movies, she is the weak weak part of the movie. I cringe like her in the her doing her fashion show for him. I'm just like, oh, come on. But anyway, I still buy it.
I'm going to go with a 004.
Okay.
I don't know. I like the number 4. I like 4s and 5s. Because I'd be a terrible teacher. Nobody would ever get good grades in my class. I love the briefcase.
Yeah.
The briefcase was great. And the fact that it got used, not just the doodads that's in it, but as a plot device. I was a little bummed out. There was no. I mean, the closest thing to a car is the flower truck that he's driving.
Yes, yes.
He doesn't really have the James Bond car yet. I'd be curious to see when that actually really becomes a thing.
Yeah.
As unconventional and useless as they would really be in reality, I love the shoe knives. I think shoe knives are great. I gotta wonder if like Spider-Man's tarantula.
Well,
didn't take from that.
I agree, but I think you have to have Tarantula's other powers for the shoe knives to be able.
You definitely can't be.
You have to be able to an acrobat who can spin around and use them like your feet or your hands.
You can't be number 3. Just
that big old clunky shoe she's got.
I mean, to be fair though, she's not
orthopedic shoes.
Yeah, she's wearing
my specially designed murderous orthopedic shoes.
Spectre said they was my magic shoes.
That's right. I think she should have used her whip, Kleb should have, because she certainly uses that riding crop, I guess it was.
Well, she's only used to using that on girls, apparently.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
She's also, I don't think she's an assassin.
No, she's not.
She's just last ditch, and maybe they sent her there to die.
The guy behind her who kills number 5 also has one in his shoe. That's how so it must be standard issue Spectre weaponry. Must be the shoe knife.
The shoe knife.
I will give it a 005 because he uses everything he's given.
Yeah.
I mean, to the point where I love the briefcase too. The briefcase, and that seems to me like straight out of a real spies would have had briefcases with stuff like that. And the fact that every single part of that briefcase gets used in the movie is one of the things I love. And then the fact that he also has a device that checks for the bugs in the phone, very practical. I love that his camera is a recorder when he records her on the boat, talking about the Lecter. I mean, it's all very practical, effects, practical devices. I think it's great that we get the first introduction of the real Q from Q Branch. So we actually get Q for the first time. So I kind of figured that into my gadgets because we get the classic Q description of everything, but I knock it down because there's no car. I agree. There's no car. So,
the cool thing about that, the device for checking the bugs on the phone, you think of James Bond, you think of the guy who, he's always in command. He knows everything all the time and never gets duped. They totally duped him.
Yeah.
Because he wanted the other room because he found out this one was bugged, but they had that room set up for him.
Yes. Yeah. So they kind of like tripped him up from Dr. No. Yeah. It failed. Okay. And finally, James Bond.
I'm going to give him a 006 because they ramped up his machismo to the point where sometimes it was dripping from him like sweat. I don't know. The suits were better too. Yeah. I'm going to say he was just more suave.
Okay.
I get the rawness of the first one.
Yes.
This is like the rawness, slightly more polished. Still no silly quips other than there was one, but it wasn't really that silly. But yeah, I'm going to give him a 006.
Yeah, I had him higher, but I'm going to give him a 006 as well. And that because you said the quips, and that I want to talk about the quips. So for me, this is sartorially the best suits that he has in the entire series. I love his suits.
We're watching this thing and he's going, man, that suit's great. I want that suit. And then about halfway through, I'm just like, it should just be a mandate. men should have to wear suits
Correct.
regardless of what we're doing.
Correct. Fully tailored suits,
Yes.
not off the rack.
Whether we're swimming,
Yes.
playing, playing backgammon, whatever,
Mhm.
working in the fields, suit.
Yeah. And I think he's more. I think again the brutality also goes up a notch. He's brutal in this.
Yeah.
He doesn't. I mean, like I said earlier, I don't think he has any feelings for Tanya at all. There's the part where she's like, "I love you, I love you," and he looks at her, he goes, "Sure."
He's like Bruce Campbell.
Yeah.
Sure, baby.
Yeah.
Sure. They all love me, baby.
And he's brutal to the many people he kills. I like when he's interviewing Tanya on the boat with the camera, and she's trying to get off track, and he just is so cold and uncompromising. Nope, tell me about the Lecter.
Yeah.
Tell me about the Lecter.
Yeah.
Tell me about the Lecter. And so he's all business in this one. But I also like the other part that I give him a 006 for is his relationship with Karen Bay.
Yeah.
I mean, and so you get,
Yes.
you get a different side to him with a coworker that he respects.
Yep.
And the relationship develops over time.
It develops over time, and then when he dies, you can kind of tell that death did affect.
Yeah, because he touches him. He like puts his hand on him and rests on it. Like, yeah. Anyway, he's even in the end of the movie when he's telling Tanya, "I'm going to leave you behind. If you don't get your butt up, I'm leaving you behind." But the reason I knock him down 1 point is, his quips are not the best in this movie. I mean, I do like the last one where he just says "old boy," because it's not even a quip. It's just like, I'm so tired of the way Grant kept calling me old boy.
Yeah.
Or old man. I'm sorry, old man. And I guess for me, the other sort of hasn't aged well, bugs me a little bit is the Romani scene. With the two women fighting, and then the next day they're like serving him food, and he's sitting there like a crown prince.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there going, aha! So this is where what's his name went. This is how I'll create the Playboy Empire. This is what the man's fantasy.
Yes.
He has both of them. And they are yours. And I just like that whole. That machismo part of it kind of is not. I don't know. It wears a bit thin, I think, in the movie a little bit. And the minute he thinks Tanya has betrayed him and had Bay killed, he's brutal.
Yeah,
he's as brutal as Grant. I mean, and that's what I like that contrast between the two of them.
It's the same thing as the chess game.
Yeah, exactly.
They're basically equals.
Yes, they are. Yep. So, do we need to add up our points now?
Now we add up our points.
Now we got to do some math.
Yes, to the magic of editing. I'm gonna double check my numbers.
Okay. No, mine worked out perfectly. All right, so Paul, overall, what do you give James Bond's second film From Russia with Love?
Well, this doesn't make any sense, which we talked about when we were watching this movie about how the rating system works. But for a movie that I enjoyed more than Dr. No, it actually scores lower than Dr.
No. Okay.
I give it a 0030.5.
30.
It probably because I ranked Ursula Andress up a little.
Right.
We changed it a little bit.
For me, overall, From Russia with Love, it ends up being a 0035, which is quite a bit higher than I rated Dr. No. So, and I think that just reflects how much I like this movie. One other note overall with the movie that I want to bring up, and I mean, I've probably seen this movie 200 times. I never noticed until tonight that when the three members of Spectre first get together in the beginning, they're on a boat. I never realized they were on a boat. As they're walking up, I'm like, wait, that's a life preserver. Those guys look like love boat stewards. And then later on, right before Kronstein gets killed, the screen is moving like they're on a boat.
Oh, it's like
yeah. And I'm like, I always thought it was just some hotel,
Right.
but no, for the first time. So I'm like, how did I not notice this?
Well,
But
because we're used to like Spectre being like a big hall with
yeah,
a
yeah,
long table,
correct,
and
correct.
so our brain just
Yeah,
fills in the gaps.
yeah. One other weird thing about the movie overall
Mhm.
is, so I keep talking about the fact that the movie is very close to the book,
Mhm.
but the book was different in one amazing way.
Okay.
So everything's close to the movie, except in the very end, he delivers um, Tatiana and the Lecter to. He gets it to MI6.
Mhm.
However, then he's like leaving. He gets stopped by Kleb and another Spectre agent, and they basically she succeeds in kicking him with the poison,
Hmm.
and the book ended on a cliffhanger with him
Hmm.
slowly sinking into and you think he's dead.
Huh.
And the reason I was reading about it, and so the reason that Ian Fleming did that is because he wasn't sure he was going to write more books after this.
Mhm.
So if he didn't, Bond died at the
Oh
end of the book.
yeah.
If not, he could keep doing more.
Yeah.
So he ended it on a cliffhanger, which, like, what if they had ended this one on the movie on a cliffhanger? But
Man.
they couldn't. But it
Yeah,
just
because they weren't making movies
like they
in a
would now. It
franchise
would be
every 6 months.
correct. Now it would be we'd have the cliffhanger.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but yeah, so that's the one part of the book that I think for its time was amazing. People were really
Mhm.
like, "Oh my god, he's dead."
Mhm.
So anyway, so that's another interesting thing.
Well, while we're on the subject of books,
Yeah,
I put a link down below. My Steve from the infamous Convoy episode,
Mhm.
and he's my co-host on the Butler Did It, his little brainchild. We started a channel called Check Your Shelf where we talk about books. So I'll put a link down below if you want to check it out.
sure. We'll be back with our continuing Battlestar Galactica, as well as the importance of being earnest, and on occasion our full Saturday night crew,
Yep.
the Return of the Son of the Show
Yep.
crew.
And we
Come
have
back on.
and we have another show in the works. It's we're talking about
Yeah,
it.
we're talking about it. Yes, another show to do.
Yeah, when we get through the Battlestar Galactica, we'll
Yes.
probably launch into
Take
it.
it. Yeah, take a little break and do that one.
Yeah.
For Moonraker, I'm Mark.
I'm Paul.
And just like James Bond, we will return soon with a review of the third movie, Goldfinger.